All right. Okay, look, thanks to all of you for being here. It's been a challenging and a difficult 24 hours for a big chunk of our eastern seaboard here in the North Island with this tropical low that has come through. The good news is the tropical low is now offshore, but as you can see, we are still in response mode, and that includes the tragedy that has unfolded behind us in the last few hours. I've got Firing FENZ Commander William Pike with me behind me, who will talk shortly. I've got our Police District Commander here, Assistant Commissioner Tim Anderson, and of course the local Mayor Mahi Drysdale. FENZ are leading the incident behind us. They have got the lead. They've been supported by police, other government agencies, geoscientists, and of course our civil defence team. It is a fluid situation, it is ongoing, it is a rescue operation at the moment, and FENZ and all of our first responders are working as quickly as they can for the recovery in this rescue. You understand that, that there's considerations to take into account around the stability of the land and making sure that it is safe. I'm sure that we all have in our mind the tragedy that we faced as a country 2 years ago on the West Coast when we lost two of our firefighters who went into a slip to try and assist and support people. We've also got a recovery operation that's happening in Welcome Bay, and I just want to acknowledge our police officers and our firefighters. I'm already aware of several incidents where they put themselves at risk to help support and recover members of the public during the night, and we all know the conditions were atrocious and were an aggravating factor and made it difficult. So we are still in a response phase. There is still a lot of activity going on. There is still a lot of work being done to actually understand what damage has occurred. We know that we've had multiple slips, infrastructure down, working hard to get power restored, and obviously a real priority is the recovery of people and the rescue operation that is happening behind us. So on that, I'm going to pass over to Fire Commander William Pike to give you a detailed update in terms of what's happening with the operation behind us. William.
Thank you, Minister. The current situation is we are in a rescue operation. There has been a significant landslip at the base of the mount. This is an active and evolving incident, and information may change as assessments continue. Our priority is life safety, followed by scene stabilisation and risk assessment. Urban search and rescue teams are on scene to provide specialist search, rescue and technical assessment capability. USAR is trained to operate in unstable ground, structural collapse and complex rescue environments. Rescue environments they will be dealing with, their role includes specialist search operations, hazard stability assessments, supporting rescue operations where standard access is unsafe or restricted. So the closing line at this stage is this is a complex and high risk environment. Our teams are taking careful approach to ensure the best possible outcome while keeping everyone safe. Thank you.
Good afternoon. I'd just like to acknowledge our partner agencies that have worked tirelessly through the night. The weather forecasters have described last night's events across the Bay of Plenty and the Western Bay of Plenty as a 1 in 100 year event. Really want to acknowledge Defence Force, FENZ and St John's, who have worked tirelessly throughout the night to rescue and evacuate a number of households, particularly in the Welcome Bay area, Welcome Bay Road. And also the police staff. There have been, the Minister and I have already visited a number of staff who have pretty much taken their lives at risk to rescue people, to evacuate them from their houses, from places which weren't forecast in terms of the landslides. There were certainly some acts of bravery by our police staff over the night and this morning, and we can't thank them enough. Thank you. Any questions you might have?
Do you have an idea of numbers, people who are injured, possibly casualties, people missing, any numbers?
Yes, in terms of the Mount I can't go into numbers now. This is very much a rescue phase. I have to acknowledge Bill's team here that are on the side of the hill now. Whilst the land's still moving, they're in a rescue mission to rescue those people. So I can't be drawn on numbers. What I can say is that it is single figures. Yeah.
So you've gone through the list, Tim, of those who are unaccounted for at the campground. Have you ascertained the number of people who were checked in here?
Yeah, we've been working all morning to reconcile those lists and those names, so our investigators have been doing that. I can't speculate on those names now. I'll give them to you. I can in the fullness of time. Just now is not the right time.
So are we talking around 5 or more people who are unaccounted for right now?
Look, again, I can't be drawn on numbers because it is possible we could find someone alive. So I can't be drawn on numbers other than say it's single figures.
And are those people mainly in the abolition block, or are they in camper vans or tents, or what's the sort of key area of searching and the rescue operation?
It's too early to say again and to speculate other than to say that the landslide did come down on the back of the pools and the back of the holiday park.
When do you think we're going to have clarity around those numbers? I know you say that it's currently a rescue operation, but at what point does that change?
Well, that's for us to work through now and make sure that we reconcile the right numbers and get everything right before we release that publicly.
Is that days? Is that
that's within days, yes.
Should the campground have been closed given the weather warnings?
Bill, any thoughts? Look, I think in terms of, I'm not a weather expert, but it's fair to say the landslides were happening all around the Bay of Plenty and other districts, and it's probably impossible to forecast something like this, yeah.
I know just yesterday we were talking about acting proactively. Should we have been maybe making decisions, the campground, or maybe responders making sure that people actually weren't camping in the weather conditions, or apart from the campground deciding whether they stay open or not? Yeah,
look, that was civil defence and police and other agencies were having those conversations. We had police staff out yesterday talking to those in camper vans and in places at risk, so all of those conversations did take place yesterday in preparation for last night's weather event.
Do you think you could have gone harder on those warnings?
Oh, look, I'm really convinced that our staff have worked really, really hard. We re-rostered staff to work overnight shift. Like I said, the acts of bravery that we're yet to come out publicly were outstanding, and I can't thank our police staff enough or be more proud of them.
At what point were evacuations considered for the campground and the rest of the area?
I don't have that detail now, other than the major slide happened at 9:30 this morning.
Tim, to my understanding, there are 9 people unaccounted for. Is that accurate?
Look, like I said before, I can't speculate. It's too early. We will get that information out as soon as possible and in the right time.
Yeah, guys, can I just say that at the moment we've got the parents and the husband of some of the people that we're currently trying to rescue in the campground, and to speculate on this stuff right at the moment is not the right thing to do. Just allow the first responders to get in there, allow fire to get in there and do their job. Everyone is really focused. There's urgency around this and making it happen, but there's got to be a high degree of sensitivity from all of us for the people that are sitting in that building behind us, and for anyone that's a parent or has a spouse, you'd understand the stress that they're currently under.
Minister, do you think quite possibly the focus for many people here was those regions like Northland or the Coromandel Peninsula, where there was lots and lots of talk about this bad weather that maybe here didn't seem as severe as it ended up? Do you think
No, I think that my observation was the mayors in Northland, in Coromandel Thames, Hauraki, here in the Bay of Plenty, and Tairāwhiti, they're all experienced CDM groups. They all called states of emergency early, and that is absolutely the right thing to do. And quite simply, for the reason for that is to make sure that people are pre-positioned and that we can get community comms out there, and that we're in the best possible position to deal with the weather when it comes through. And they did a very good job of that. But these weather events are so unpredictable in terms of where they're going to hit, where the slips are going to hit. It's a matter of how we respond to that. And like the district commander Tim was saying, is that the way that our first responders, whether it be St John's, whether it be police, whether it be FENS, and I do want to acknowledge New Zealand Defence Forces, they had people on the ground supporting communities as well. I just want to acknowledge them and all the work that they have done.
After initial assessments of the Mt Maunganui, what's the likelihood of any further slips to come?
Well, they're having geoscientists up there at the moment. The mount is closed, and they will be doing a full assessment of that to be able to provide public assurance that that it is safe to go back into the mount and have access to it.
Minister or Tim or Bill, could you just give us, you talk about the job here, the rescue operation. What precisely is going on at the moment? Like how many cubic metres of dirt has come down the hill as an estimate, and how are we going about trying to get through that and rescue those people? If you just come across to the mic here.
At the moment, we're unsure of actual cubic meters. When we initially arrived at the incident, the slip was still actually moving. So we drew everyone back, and this allowed us to reassess our next plan. What we'll try to do at this stage is delayer part of the rubble, and we're underway with that at the moment.
So what does that mean? Are you using, what sort of machinery are you using to do that? Or is it
I'm unsure. USAR lead the rescue, and they have heavy machinery here and also portable USAR equipment.
Are we expecting this rescue to go overnight? At what point are you calling it for the evening?
We'll go right through until we've rescued anyone that's involved.
From this event, will campsites be closing now when there are major weather events on?
It's not a question for me. I'll pass that one on.
Good afternoon, everyone. I just want to acknowledge the tragic event that has happened. Just say that we are supporting all the families here. We ask those that maybe have bookings at the campground not to come. We also ask the community to please allow the emergency services, who are all doing a fantastic job, to do their job and not interrupt that. I think from the campground is closed now, and everyone has been either moved or evacuated from that campsite, and our staff are doing a great job to support people and find alternative accommodation for those that need. But obviously our thoughts and prayers are with those families that are affected, as we try to support them as best we can to through a very, very hard situation. As you heard, we've got an operation in progress at the moment, and we certainly hope for a good result where we do rescue people, but we are still got several unaccounted for, and we will be continuing to go through that list. What we've experienced is some of the people have checked out of the campground and they haven't let us know, and so that's some of the unaccounted people. As we ring around those people, we can take them off that unaccounted list, so that explains some of the fluidity, I guess, around numbers, etc. But we know that there are people missing from the campground.
In the future, does that mean that campsites like this will be urged to close, or when there are warnings of major weather events?
Look, it was a severe incident last night. Obviously, we thought this morning we'd got through the worst of it, and at 9:30 we had a major slip. This campground has been in operation for decades, and we have not had any issues in that time. These natural disasters are very hard to predict, and it's a real shame as to what has happened. But those are the sort of questions that we will be looking at in future months as to how what the safety, etc. Should be, and what sort of precautions we may take.
For any of you who may know the answer to this, have you heard any signs of life, anything promising, any sounds from within the rescue?
Not at this stage. Initially, when the first arriving crews arrived, there was some signs of life, but from there we actually withdrew our people just to make sure the slip didn't move any further. So yeah.
And at what point did those signs of life, any noises, any indication of people start? What time did that stop?
I have no idea of that time. Yes.
You'd say it's maybe been hours.
I have no idea.
A question for Mr. Drysdale. What conversations were happening regarding the campsite and Mt Maunganui itself when the first slip happened this morning?
Yeah, obviously we were monitoring the situation. We supported the emergency Bay of Plenty in declaring a state of emergency yesterday, and clearly the weather that hit us was quite severe. But our focus at the moment is very much on the recovery of the people and supporting those families affected. Anything else, obviously, we'll be looking at as we debrief from this. Obviously, the Mount Hot Pools was also affected, which is one of our venues. Pleasingly, from confirmation from CCTV, it looks like everyone is accounted for from that facility, which is one small bit of good news in this situation.
So what time was it, Mahe, when emergency services were first scrambled? It was obviously a busy time of morning when there were people in the toilet block moving around.
Yeah, it was about 9:30 that the slip happened, and emergency services were here very quickly after that.
And how many families are you liaising with currently at the surf club who are waiting to hear for news?
Look, again, I'm not going to speculate on the families, but there was hundreds of families here early on, and the police did a very good job at removing and evacuating everyone from the campground and bringing them over here. Obviously, taking details to try to put those lists together.
Sorry, so we've had slips here. There's also been slips overnight in Welcome Bay with an operation underway, 2 people unaccounted for. Have you got an update on that one as well?
Yeah, sure. We're in regards to Welcome Bay, we are working with FENZ in terms of a rescue phase there as well. Unfortunately, last night there was at least one house that was had a landslide on top of it, or through it, if you'd call it that. 2 people were able to escape it, and 2 people are unaccounted for in regards to that one. So that's another operation that's running concurrently with this one at the Mount.
So what's involved in that operation?
So that's again fire leading in terms of a rescue operation, working with police. Firstly, ensuring that the scene is safe for us to attend to. We can't put our staff in there if it's still moving. Obviously, we don't want any more risks or casualties. So it's about working closely with fire and working through that today. Yeah.
Is there any involvement of local hapu and iwi?
Absolutely. Local iwi have been here this morning and have blessed the scene, and we're working closely with iwi. And it's fair to say this community is very tight-knit, which includes all the hapu and iwi here, and we're in direct communications with them and appreciate their support.
Any messages or advice to the community who obviously you said that this hasn't happened before on this scale, for those feeling nervous or fearful, especially given days now of weather events? What's the message there?
Yeah, look, the best thing you can do is take the official advice. So everyone within the Bay of Plenty would have got a text message or a Western Bay yesterday about what to do in terms of looking after themselves, not to go onto beaches when there's a weather event, all those sort of quite practical advice tips. That extended to tourists as well. So take advice and just take the advice seriously. Some people don't, and then they need to. Yeah.
And do you think for those who may have had plans to travel in or around the area, any of those areas, just to lay low and maybe stay home until things clear up a bit more?
Particularly when the weather event's occurring. I mean, that's stopped here now, but and in fairness, most of those in the community did heed that advice. Just there's the odd one that doesn't. Yeah.
Is there likely to be a rivalry?
Last question.
If there are fatalities?
That's something we would speak to local iwi about, but the answer is yes.
Sorry, just to confirm, last thing, have you actually rescued anyone from this slip?
No, Bill, you can talk to that.
No, we haven't rescued anyone at this stage yet.
And Bill, sorry, at what time did you last hear people yelling out at the scene?
My understanding was members of the public, obviously, which is an instant reaction, tried to get into the rubble and did hear some voices. Our initial fire crew arrived and had the same, were able to hear the same. Shortly after our initial crew arrived, we withdrew everyone from the site due to possible movement of slip.
Have you heard voices since then?
Not that I know of, no.
Okay, thanks guys, we're going to wrap it up there.
Yeah, can I just say thanks guys for being here. I know that there is a very high level of public interest, and it's incumbent on us to be able to get as much information out as possible, and we're committed to do that. But we have to be sensitive. This is a sensitive, fluid and ongoing situation. I just want to recognise we did have the Deputy Mayor here and two of the local MPs with us as well, and thank you for being here today. And we will give you